Hi everyone, this video is an Excel tutorial. We will talk about several formulas that you might not even know exist, but they will really help with your work. As always, there are timestamps in the description to this video, so please feel free to navigate to other chapters of this video and skip something that you're not interested in. And time codes can explain to you what to expect from this video. If you're new to this channel, I'm Karina, I'm finance person, turned data analyst, turned data scientist, and now I share my knowledge with other people online. So let's begin. Just a quick reminder, I have Mac computer. My Excel interface will look slightly different to the Windows users, however, all the functions are here. And the very first Excel function we will talk about called choose columns. This function allows you to select specific columns from a range or an array. I generated some fake data to help us learn those functions. So let's say I need only 3 columns from this data. And previously what you would do, you would just select the column you want, Ctrl+C, place it where you want, Ctrl+V, and it copies the column, and then you do it one by one, again and again, till you get the data set you want. But now there is a function called choose columns that can do that for you. So let's say I want a new data set starting in our K column. We say choose col. Then we need to select array, and our array will be from A1 to the end, which is G101, comma. Then we need to select a number of our columns. We can't use the reference like column B, column C. We need to select a number. For example, my first column will be date, which is our 6th column. After that, I want customer column, which is column 7. And after that, I want column price, which is the 5th column. Let's close the brackets. And now we have a new data set with only these columns. And this way you can reorder columns you can create new data sets. It would have simplified my life so much back in the days when I was an accountant. The next function we will look at is choose rows. So similar to choose columns, but this time we can select the rows we want. I will pick a random spot, let's say choose rows. Again, array, it will be from A1 till the end, so till G101, comma. Now we need to select row numbers one by one. I want, for example, my first row, and then I want my tens, and then my hundreds. We have a new data set with only the rows we want. The next function we will talk about is sort. Sort function sorts the contents of a range or array based on the values in one or more columns. For example, we want to sort our original data set by column price from largest to smallest. So we say sort, then we need to indicate array. Array will be from A1 to G101, comma. Then we say in sort index, we want to sort by price. Index of our price column is 5, so we say 5, comma. Now it's asking if we want to sort in ascending or descending order. We want to sort it in descending order, so we say -1, and we can actually close the brackets. And that created a new data set that looks exactly like the previous one, with all data sorted by price from largest to smallest. With sort function, we can also sort by multiple criteria. So by using curly brackets, you can indicate several columns you want to sort by. And you can also sort one column in descending order while other column in ascending order. I will change several prices to be exactly the same so we can see the result of our sorting. You probably noticed that with sort function, our range is actually dynamic. So once I changed 89 here, this also updated. In an old-fashioned way where you just copy column one by one and you make changes to some of the values, you have to keep updating, copying and pasting those columns, while if you use, for example, sort or choose columns, that makes this range dynamic. If you make some changes to your original data, it will be reflected in the dataset created by sort or choose columns. Now let's look how sorting by multiple criteria work. We again start with sort, and then we need to select array, so I will make no changes here, and then we use curly brackets to indicate several parameters because we want to sort by several columns. So this time we will sort by price and quantity. So the first column is a 5, which is price, and the second column is quantity, which is 4, comma. Now we will use also curly brackets because we want to sort our data by price from largest to smallest, or -1, which is descending order, but we want to sort our quantity from smallest to largest, which is 1. And let's close our brackets, and now you can see that our price is sorted from largest to smallest, while quantity is sorted from smallest to largest. Next function we will look at called take. So take function allows you to extract a specified number of rows or columns from the start or end of an array or range. So it's again a function that's useful for creating a subset of your original data. If we look at our choose rows, where we are selecting our rows, we had to indicate those rows one by one, but it allowed us to be more flexible. So if we wanted a row number 10 and 100, we could specify that. With take function, we can select many rows at the same time at the beginning or end of our array. So we will say take brackets, then we need to specify our array, same as always, comma, and then we can specify number of rows we want. We want 10 rows, and it asks how many columns. We want all, so then if you want all, we just close our brackets. And now we have all the columns, but only first rows of our dataset. If you learn Python, this is how .head10 works. In a similar fashion, you can select several rows, but also indicate which columns you want. So for example, we still want our 10 first rows, but we want only first 3 columns. So then we say name of array, comma, number of rows, comma, and then how many columns we want, for example, 3. If you want to select last rows or last columns of your dataset, we need to use minus. So for example, not first 10 rows, but last 10 rows. So we say minus 10 and minus 3. Now you selected 10 last rows and we selected only 3 last columns. Next function we will talk about is filter. The filter function in Excel allows you to extract data that meets specified criteria from a range or array. And again, this function is very useful when you're creating a dynamic subset of data based on several conditions. In the previous slide, without the filter function, what I would do, for example, I put a filter on top of all my data set. So we go into sorting filter. For example, I want all the quantity be more than 3. Of course, you can create a formula, but for example, we remove 1, 2, 3. Now we have quantities only 4 and more. And then I just copy and paste this data set, which already has all the filters on. And for example, now I want the quantity more than 3 and at the same time category 1. So I have 2 filters and now I can copy this data set. But that is a one-off action. So if something has changed, you need to again put these filters, copy and paste your data. While using filter, it is a dynamic way. So let's remove our filter. Okay, let's say filter, brackets. Again, we start with selecting an array, comma. Now we need to select our filtering condition. And my filtering condition would be if the column C, so in C1 to C101 equals category 1. And then it asks what to do if it is empty. If empty, I would say not found. So this way we will see that there is an error. Maybe we spelled category 1 with a space or typed the wrong letter. So now we have all the data filtered by category 1. Similarly to sort, you can filter by multiple criteria. For example, if you want to sort where our category is 1, but at the same time where our quantity is more than 3. Again, we start with filter, brackets, then we need to select an array. Then to include, we actually will use another bracket here. So we say C1 to C101 equals category 1. Then we say multiply, creating new brackets, and then we need to say quantity more than 3. So quantity will be column D, so we say from D1 to D101 more than 3. Again, comma, and now we need to say what will be if empty, not found. And now we have a subset of data that's filtered by 2 criteria, where category equals 1 and where quantity is more than 3. But here you also can say not only by 2 criteria, but filtering with or condition. So we want to filter rows where the category is category 1 or quantity is more than 7. In this case, we use not a multiplication, but plus sign. Let's make our quantity 7. And now you can see all the rows where either category is 1, or in this case it's category 3, but quantity is more than 7. Let's check another one. Again, category 2, but our quantity is more than 7. If you want to start learning Python and you don't know where to start, if you want to see if programming is for you, I created a data analysis with Python masterclass. It is self-paced masterclass with 3 hours of pre-recorded videos, which you can watch whenever it's convenient for you. Also, you can ask me questions via teaching platform. It consists of 3 parts. In the first part, you will learn how to work with Python, how to open files, what is Python libraries and modules. In the second part, you will learn how to work with Pandas library, how to clean the file, transform, group, filter, sort your data. In this third part of the masterclass, you will learn how to visualize data with matplotlib library. And also you will have 16 home tasks to practice your skills. If you're interested, link in the description, and if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. The next Excel function we will look at called TEXTSPLIT, but you can say we can use text to column instead. Correct. However, TEXTSPLIT has a couple of extra things that text columns can't do. So let's say we have this dataset and we want to split our addresses. So we can use, of course, text to column. In that case, we need to highlight our column, go to data, text to columns, and then we can select our delimiter. For example, we want to split data by comma, so then we say comma, then we say next, then you can select the destination for your text to column split, you click finish, and it's all done. But let's have a look at TEXTSPLIT. We will say TEXTSPLIT, and then we need to select the column, for example this one. We need to select the delimiter similar to text to columns, and in this case delimiter will be comma. And then we can just close the brackets, and that's it. Again, the plus of this function, it is dynamic. So if you need to keep doing it, for example, you have some Excel forms, Google forms where people keep adding the results, instead of rerunning text to columns again and again, in this case, you just drag in the formula and it works perfectly. So great for dynamic ranges. In the second example, let's replace comma with a semicolon, and I will show you how to use TEXTSPLIT with several delimiters. So again, TEXTSPLIT, we need to select the text, a comma, and in the case you want to select several delimiters, we use curly brackets, how we've done it before. So curly brackets, inside of curly brackets, we say in quotes, for example, comma, and then we want a semicolon. Then we close our brackets, and this value was split by both comma and a semicolon. But TEXTSPLIT can do a bit more. So again, this comma we will replace with a semicolon. Let's say TEXTSPLIT, brackets, selecting our text, and you can see that there are several parameters that can be inserted into this function. So it's not only column delimiter, but we have row delimiter, ignore empty, match mode, etc. So let's use all of them. We say for text we're selecting before, comma. For our column delimiter we will use comma. For our row delimiter we will use a semicolon. So again, in quotes you need to say semicolon, comma. Now we need to select, are we ignoring empty or not? Let's say we ignore the empty cells, so we say true. We need to select if we want it to be case sensitive or not. Let's say case sensitive 0, and we can say pad with. So pad with is to replace blanks with something. Let's put some random word just to see how it works. So let's say hello, close the bracket, click enter. And you can see that our value was split not only in several columns, but also in several rows, and that's what text to column can't do. Everything that was before our comma was split into 2 columns, because we selected comma as our column delimiter, and we selected semicolon as our row delimiter. And because of that, everything that was before semicolon, so in this case, everything that was before our row delimiter becomes row 1, and everything after becomes row 2. And because with our first row we have 2 columns, with the second row we don't have 2 columns, so remember we had this pad with, and pad with we said hello. So the blank was replaced with the word hello. It's not obligatory to put anything in this case. You could have stopped at the part where we say case sensitive or case insensitive. So for example, we stopped there, and now you can see we have this empty cell and it was replaced with NA. But if you don't like it, you can, for example, replace it with blank. And to do that, you just use 2 quotes and that's it. Empty cell was replaced with empty instead of NA, instead of the word hello. In case you need to keep splitting the data, this is a better option than using text to column. But for example, you're working on a one-off project, whether it's data analytics project or audit or finance thing, and you need to split data only once. Of course, use text to column. It's a great way to split the values. The next function we will look at called TEXTJOIN. And there are several ways of joining your text, but I think TEXTJOIN took everything to a slightly new level. In this example, we see there are some missing values. Not every record has middle names, so some values are empty. There are several ways how we can create a cell that contains first name, middle name, and last name together. One option is concatenate. We say concat, and then we need to select all the values we want to combine. For example, we want first name, middle name, and last name. So we say first name, comma, and because we want to have space between them, we need to say space. So in quotes, we use space, comma, then we say middle name, comma, again, in quotes, space, comma, this one, close brackets, and now we have a beautiful name, so first name, middle name, last name together, and you can see they all separated with space. Another, maybe older version, at first I learned and sign and then I learned concatenate, so I don't know if it's because of different versions of Excel. So exactly what we've done now can be done using and sign. For example, we want A2, then we use and sign, we use our quotes, space quotes, again and sign, same for B2, another and sign, quotes, space quotes, and C2, enter, and it does exactly the same as concatenate, but instead of using concat brackets, we use this and sign. And now let's look at TEXTJOIN. So TEXTJOIN allows us to choose delimiter. Instead of using this quotes, space, or quotes, comma, in this case, you already can select delimiter. For example, I want our space. I can say if I want to ignore empty or not. For those who don't have middle name, we want to ignore our empty cell, so we say true, comma, and now we need to select text 1, text 2, etc. So we want A2, comma, B2, comma, C2, brackets, and we joined our text. So you can see there are 3 ways to join values into one cell. There are different ways of achieving the same result. I feel like TEXTJOIN is just slightly easier because you select delimiter and then you select values instead of concatenate, where you have to indicate delimiter over and over again. But maybe at the same time, if you want to use different delimiters, if you want to use comma at the beginning and maybe semicolon later, concatenate will be a better option compared to TEXTJOIN. Another function you might not know existed is called DATEDIF, and it's great if you're working with customer data and, for example, you need to calculate age of the customers. So let's go back to our retail data set, and for example, we want to calculate how many days ago this purchase was made. So DATEDIF can help us calculate the difference in years, months, or days, and again, it can be used if you analyzing customer data and you have date of birth but you want to calculate how old this person is. Another version is if you're working with retail data and you want to see, how long ago the purchase was made or how many days between the first and the second purchase. It can be done using DATEDIF. We say DATEDIF. Then we need to select the start date and the end date. So the start date should be earlier than the end date. Let's say 17th of March, let's pick this day as the start date. End date will be April, this one. And then in quotes, you need to say Y for year, M for months, or D for day. So let's say D and close our brackets. So the day difference between these 2 days is 23 days. So we want to see how long ago from today it was. So we again use DATEDIF. As a start date will be this March. As the end date will be today. Today, empty bracket, comma. And for example, this time we want to calculate how many months ago this purchase happened. So we say in quotes, capital M, close our brackets, and it was 16 months ago. This video is made in July 2024, so it is indeed 16 months from today. And for example, you want to do the same, but for a year we say DATEDIF, again start date this one, end day we will say today, and then we will say year, so it in quotes, year, close brackets, and it calculates the day difference in years. Well, that's it for Excel for today. Other nerdy exciting news, there would be new formulas like group by and again regular expressions where you can work with textual information, but at the moment they're not available for all Excel users. I think you need to be like a beta user or something. If you have group by function, please comment below and let me know Do you like it? I hope it will be available for me soon too, and then we can talk about it. There are more and more functions that you typically see in programming languages. Again, this filter, sort, group by, so it's funny to see how Excel gradually transitioning into more programming, data analytics, data science space. Let me know if you're interested in other Excel videos and what functions you're interested in, maybe pivot tables. Maybe we can go into more details about them. Instead of doing the whole analytics project in Excel, we will just talk about functions on their own. I hope you learned something useful from today's video and will start using these functions to simplify your life. If you enjoy this video, please click like and subscribe. It means a lot to me, and I hope to see you next time.